So let me guess, you just clicked on this video because you are about to go to college potentially, and you don't even know if that's what you actually want. Your parents are already bragging on Facebook like, oh my gosh, my baby is going to such and such school. I'm so happy for her. Like, she just got accepted, or he just got accepted, and they're just going on and on. You've got acceptance letters coming in, your friends do, everyone's excited, but you really don't even know what you want to do. So you're probably about to go to college just because everyone else expects you to, and you don't really know what else to do anyway. You want to know why I know exactly what you're thinking? Because I felt the exact same way. Okay, I did ultimately end up going to get my bachelor's degree, but I don't regret doing that. I do think that that was the right move for me, but I don't think college is intended for everyone. I do feel like there's a certain type of person that goes to college and a certain type of person that doesn't. Neither one is good nor bad, right? But I'm not here to tell you what you should and should not do. I'm not going to tell you you should go to college. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't go to college. However, I do think that I can help you figure out if that makes sense for you. Hey y'all, what's up? My name's Jaden. Welcome to the Mindful Major, where we talk all things college, career, money, life, everything that you can think about. And if you're trying to figure out what comes after high school, you're definitely in the right place, because that's all we talk about. And today we're going to be talking about whether college makes sense for you. So let's jump into it. A little bit of background about me so we can get to know each other. I do have 3 degrees. I have an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's, 2 in business administration, and then my master's is in decision analytics. And so I am class of 2020, 2023, and 2026 just this year. So I have a lot of knowledge about this, about college, about, you know, different career paths that you can take. And my hope is to share all of my knowledge and experience with you to hopefully help you find the life of your dreams. So if that sounds interesting, definitely stick around. All right, so in this video, let's figure out if college is actually for you. So I do have a couple of talking points today. We're going to be talking about why do you feel like you have to go to college. We're also going to work on reframing your thoughts a little bit better. So instead of asking, should I go to college, we're going to start asking a bit different of a question there. We're going to get to the bottom of why do you actually want to go, or why you may not want to go. What value does a degree bring? So I do have my iPad here. I'm just going to be looking at it and kind of looking at my notes here as we move along. So the first part is, why do you feel like you have to go to college, right? And I think this is important because especially if you're first generation, college isn't really presented to you as a decision, right? Like that's like the next step. That's the next step. And if you say no to it, you kind of feel guilty, or your parents might make you feel guilty, things of that nature. And you just feel this really strong weight on your shoulders that you have to go. But that's not really the case. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's really hard to kind of digest, because you have people, like when you get to that 17, 18, you know, you're in 11th or 12th grade, people are starting to ask like, hey, you know, what college are you going to? Have you started putting in applications and this, that, and the third? It's like you don't really get a lot of breathing room to say like, I don't know if this is what I want to do yet. I still want to figure it out. And if you're going to try to figure it out after high school, that's like, oh, she a bum. You know what I'm saying? Or he a bum. like I get it. Like that will definitely make making that decision like 10 times harder. And then there's another side to it too. Like maybe you're not nervous or upset or kind of confused. You might even be in a stage where you feel like that is what you want to do, right? Like everybody else around you is excited, so you're excited too. But like you could still be going to college because of other people and what other people's excitement is giving you, right? So like to sum it up, there's 2 sides. There's the side where it's like you're probably knowing that you don't want to go, and like you're nervous to kind of bring up that conversation with your parents, your family, your friends, you know, whoever. And then there's the other side where like you are excited to go to college, but the excitement doesn't come from within yourself. Could just be coming from like everyone else being excited around you, if that makes sense. And what I have to say to that is you have to give yourself permission internally to kind of figure that out for yourself, right? All the noise, you just have to shut it out, right? Like you just have to sit down with yourself alone. I don't know, maybe go take a walk if you don't have a car, because I sure as hell did not have a car when I was in high school. Like I probably even started out by writing down exactly why you want to go. And then after that, maybe split the page in 2 on the bottom and do like pros and cons. Think of all the things that are going on in your brain essentially and put it all on paper. Literally just put it all on paper. It'll allow you to come to the decision of going to college or not with just more of a logical thought versus like having so much emotion attached to it, right? I have some tea. I'm gonna be sipping this throughout the video. To sum that section up, why do you feel like you have to go? You're just feeling the outside pressure. Solution to that is write it down, write down your thoughts, try to figure out if that's actually something that you want to do. So I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, boom. Next part. This completely changes how you're going to make decisions in the future. You're probably asking yourself right now, should I go to college? Should I go to college? How about we take a step back, okay? Take a step back from should I go to college. Instead, you need to understand what problem you are actually trying to solve. Jaden, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go to college. What are you talking about? I get it, but not always the problem that we're trying to solve. The decision you're probably trying to decide right now is, what do I want to do after high school? Okay, you need to ask yourself that first. If you don't know whether you want to go to college or not, 9 times out of 10, you don't know what you want to do in college. Or maybe you have a vague idea, but it's not very clear to you. You're just going with the flow right now. But I challenge you to take a second and ask yourself, what do you actually want to do after high school? Matter of fact, get a pencil and paper out and do the stuff that I'm telling you to do right now. Like, especially if you're about to go like this fall. Like, girl, that's right around the corner. Get your pen and paper out, okay? After you've kind of gotten an idea of what you want to do after high school, maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't know what you want to do after high school, think about the things that you enjoy. Maybe you really love to create things, or you like to build things, right? Take some time to think about that if you need to. After you've kind of figured that out, then I want you to ask yourself, how can I give myself time to figure out what I actually want? So this is probably where it's going to get interesting, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to talk to your parents and or guardians about what you want. Just let them know how you're feeling. I know that's intimidating because parents are people and people take different things different ways, right? If you are afraid that your parents are going to be like super upset, I feel like 9 times out of 10 that mostly comes from like our own brains. Like, usually parents, they might be a little, disheartened that maybe you chose a different path, but I feel like usually they'll hear you out. You know what I'm saying? Now that we've stopped asking ourselves, should I go to college? We want to figure out now, why do you want to go? And don't give yourself the answer that you think you're supposed to give, right? Because this is a very open and vulnerable space we're in right now. I need you to be brutally honest. Why do you truly want to go to college? Okay? If going to college did not matter to your parents, to your friends, whoever, would you still be going? You answer yes, write down why. If you answer no, write down why. So typically, right, the reason why people want to go to college is because they have a career plan, or they have an idea of what they want to do, and they know that a degree will help them get there in a significantly less amount of time, because there's a lot of careers that you can do and just gain the experience for like 10, 12 years, and then you move into the career that you want. A lot of times people don't want to do that. So what do? They go to get their degree so they can get the career right out of college. So those are the very clear reasons, right? Either have that specific career that requires the degree, or gets you to the career in a significantly less amount of time. Another reason might be, maybe you genuinely want the college experience. You want to access the internships, the networking, the professors, the opportunities. And because like that type of stuff is a lot easier to access when you're in college. The opportunities are so much more vast when you are in a college environment. Probably one of the number one reasons why I would say, if you do go to college, that is the main reason why you should be in there. So maybe you want to access the opportunities there. Or, this is one of my favorite ones, you gotta leave home. You gotta experience yourself in your own environment, okay? Because you're not under mommy and daddy's wing anymore. You're not depending on people to get you what you need. You gotta make stuff shake. So reasons we talked about why you might want to go. There's a specific career that you're interested in. You might want access to the internships, the networking experiences, or you want to leave home and experience independence. And I'm going to read this part off my iPad because I want to make sure I say this clearly, okay? Last reason, you might have absolutely no idea what you want to do, and college feels safer than admitting that. Because this is important information too, okay? And I need you to understand that, because I'm going to read it off of my iPad. Your reason for going should affect how much you're willing to spend, where you go, and what kind of school you choose. Because here's the thing, if you're unsure about what you want, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not going to be spending $100,000 to figure it out. Like, I'm not going to be going, if I don't know what I want to do, I'm not going to, if I live in New York, I'm not going to Los Angeles, California to figure it out. And I'm not paying out of state tuition to figure it out. Like, if that's the case, you probably need to stay in state and find a cheap university that gives you the best college experience that you can get, decent education, and just go there. And that's another thing I want y'all to note. And you've probably heard this. You get more money when you stay in state. Going out of state is automatically going to be like 2 times what you would pay if you stayed in state, okay? I just need you to understand that, especially if you're a first generation student, because that means 9 times out of 10, your parents probably not paying for you. If you're anything like me, your parents probably not paying for you. You're going to have to pay for school yourself, okay? You don't want to make it harder for yourself to figure out what you want. Maybe, okay, we start at, and I'm going to read it. Maybe we start at a community college, choose an affordable in-state school, like I said, live at home, work while taking classes. Any of those options will probably fit you a little bit better. The whole point I'm saying is explore what kind of options you can do to maybe find a medium to help you figure out both, because it doesn't have to be college or no college. Like, there are decisions within the decisions, okay? So don't feel like you have to go hard or cold one way or the other. So now that we figured that out, next part, what actually matters to you? This is another part of my decision-making process that I've introduced on this channel. And this is a part that a lot of people skip. So definitely listen in to this one. So before comparing your options, figure out what you're actually optimizing for. So when you think about your life 4 years after the decision you've made, right? What matters most to you in that state, okay? Let me give you some examples. Keeping your debt low, moving away from home, getting into a specific career, having financial stability, meeting new people, having the traditional college experience, exploring different subjects, getting into the workforce quickly, building a business, or having flexibility if your plans change. What I just listed are all things that you could potentially be striving for. A lot of people don't really think about this when they go to college. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to get the degree, you know, go to whatever school I want. Oh, I'll worry about the debt later, whatever the case. You can stay in control of your decisions as early as you want. And the earlier you do it, the better. Okay, so figure out what matters to you. For me personally, if I could go back, I would focus on keeping debt low. Because one thing about me, I'm getting into like budgeting. I've become a stickler for my budget, and keeping my debt low in the past would have definitely put me a lot further. And so that's why I feel like that is definitely one of the things that would have mattered to me the most. If you don't know what matters to you, you're probably going to start making decisions based on what matters to everybody else. If everything else didn't matter, would you still be going? Why exactly are you going? And how do you want your life to look after you are done? And what I don't want you to do, please stop going on TikTok to find the answer, okay? It's not there. You have to decide. Because one thing about it, TikTok will run you in a circle. They will run you in a circle, all right? You need to figure out what you want to do by yourself. Point blank, period. Don't open TikTok, open your brain. So boom, that's done. I just kind of walked you through the question of figure out what actually matters to you. Now, I want you to know something. Your options are bigger than college or failure, okay? There are more options out there. And I know especially if you haven't been exposed to it, that seems, but it's true. This one is cool, especially if you're trying to save money. And this is actually something that I did. Excuse me. You could go to community college and transfer. And I also want to add a little note on the end. If you are in 10th grade right now and you're watching this, or maybe a junior, you might be a little tight. But definitely if you're like 9th, 10th grade, even middle school, if your school provides it, you can do this thing called dual enrollment. Essentially what it is you take college classes like from probably a local community college for the last 2 years of your high school career. 11th and 12th grade, you take college courses. By the time you graduate, you'll have an associate's in whatever you go to college for, and you'll have likely your advanced diploma. But you could go to community college and transfer. Definitely do some research on the dual enrollment part. You could attend a 4-year university, right? Like go the traditional route. You could do an apprenticeship. You could work. You could pursue certifications, which is slept on for real. A lot of these, especially like in the tech industry, a lot of times just care about what you can do before like the degree. Like obviously the degree helps, but there are a lot of like self-taught coders, or like a really big thing right now is like AI, machine learning. If you know how to do that, they pay a lot of money for that, and like typically those positions are remote. A high value skill is what they call it. Okay, do something like that. You could take a structured gap year. I actually looked up the definition of a structured gap year. A structured gap year typically involves organized programs with set itineraries and schedules, and these programs can offer a range of activities such as volunteering, internships, or language courses, which is actually really interesting. I thought gap years were actually like just you being intentional about the gap year and you kind of finding that on your own. That's really interesting that they have organized programs. You could potentially work and attend school part-time. Also something I did when I went in to get my master's. I was working basically full-time, and then I took evening classes at my university. Just so many different combinations, right? And I know I'm looking down, again, iPad. So there's so many different combinations that you can do. Do your research on what you actually might want to do. Like you just never know the opportunities until you're presented to them. So go present yourself to them. Like what education does it actually require? What credentials do employers want? What's the typical salary? What does the day-to-day work actually look like? Does that fit the work lifestyle? Yeah, the work lifestyle that you would want to do. Ask yourself, what's the most reasonable path from where I am now to where I want to go? So essentially, you don't have to assume that the longest or most expensive path is always the right one, because there's cheaper options. You just literally have to do your research. Okay. Boom. Now, this is where we're going to pause on the questions for a bit, and we're going to talk for a second. I don't want you to think that I don't think college has value. There is value in going to college. A lot of people out here saying, college is a scam and da-da-da-da. College is not a scam. I don't believe college is a scam. I also don't believe everybody needs to go to college. Like I said in the beginning, college is for a specific type of person. Some people just don't have that personality type, okay? And that is fine. I think one of the underrated benefits of college, though, is that it can be a really good transition period into adulthood. And I always talk about this. College is kind of like adulthood, but with training wheels. You got friends around, everybody around you. You by yourself, but you're not by yourself. If you don't go to college for any other reason, if you just want to like explore yourself, I won't say that is the craziest idea ever. But college is also not the only place where you can get that type of experience. One really good example that I think a lot of people might be sleeping on is like joining the military. Maybe not with this presidency, but let's just say in a perfect world, the military was like this pretty pristine, perfect place to be. You hear that is a good kind of alternative if you still want that experience, but maybe you don't want to go to college right away, because there's benefits to joining the military, right? So essentially what I'm basically trying to say is that college does have value beyond the degree. So it's not a bad idea if you wanted to go for the reasons that I explained. However, there are also other ways that you can experience that, because there's other ways if that's literally not where you want to go. Boom, we're shutting down that section. So how do you know if college is actually going to be a good decision for you? I wrote this part down, so I'm gonna read it. I seriously consider college if career you're interested in requires a degree, the degree meaningfully increases your career opportunities, you can attend at a reasonable cost, you want to access internships, networking, organizations, research, professors, and all the other opportunities connected to college, you want the experience and the independence, or you aren't completely sure what you want yet, but you've chosen an affordable path that gives you the room to explore without putting yourself into a financial hole. And I'm going to add a little note here. As you go on in life, let's say you choose a decision, please do not be upset. Do not be surprised if your plans change. What I think is important is that you give yourself optionality. There's a plane. What does that mean? You can choose a path that helps you pivot and helps you have more options in the future if that's what you want to do. So having a degree can make certain transitions easier, because there are jobs where having a bachelor's degree simply gets you through the door. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody needs one, but it does mean you should consider that when you're making your decision. Like, having a bachelor's degree does open doors for you. Food for thought. So now we're shutting down that section. We've got 2 more parts here to go before we're done here. When would I slow down? You're about to go to college. You're about to make that big move. At least you think you are. Say, hold on, let me think about this. I think you should slow down when you're borrowing an enormous amount of money and you have no idea why you're going, choosing a random major because you feel pressured to declare something. You're picking an expensive school mainly because you love the name or the campus. You already know the career you want, doesn't require a bachelor's degree, and there's a significantly better path available. Or the main reason you're going is, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. None of these automatically mean don't go. They just mean that you need to think harder before you commit to a decision. And then again, there's nothing wrong with not knowing what you want at 17, 18, however old you are, even if you're older than that, okay? As long as you're intentional about it, as long as you're trying to figure it out, as long as you're making meaningful steps forward, you're going to figure it out eventually. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year. What matters the most is that you're taking steps forward. You're always trying to take the next step forward. So we closed down that section. We've talked about when should you slow down. So I want to give you a little bit of my experience and what I wish someone would have told me. When I was 17, I did not need 20 more people telling me that I should go to college. Okay, I did not need yes men in my ear like, go to college, get your education, get that money. I needed somebody to sit me down and help me ask myself better questions so that I can start to understand like what's going on in my brain. Because typically when you're like 17, 18, you're just now learning what true communication, like communicating your feelings, actually feels like. You're kind of throttled into it because like we're not taught that in traditional school, especially in America. Telling an adult or telling another person exactly how you feel. So I just wish someone would have sat down with me like I'm doing with you today, asking me better questions on how to actually figure out what I want as a person. Now everybody expects you to figure it out on your own, and you're just like, bro, I don't know, like I'm just lit, like that was so corny, bro. And some questions I wish someone would have asked me. What do you want? Why do you want it? What matters to you? What are your options? What are you giving up by choosing one over the other? What information are you missing? Because at 17 or 18, you do not always know what you want, and that is okay. Like some people do, and that's great. But like 9 times out of 10, if you're like me, you don't know what you want to do, and that's fine. I know it's getting dark also. Bear with me, the sun is setting. If I had a me back when I was like old me, I would have been a lot better off in life. I feel like I wouldn't have gone to an out-of-state school. If you don't know, I went to an out-of-state college for like 2 semesters, and then I transferred back into state because I literally hated there and I did not like it, transfer back. I would probably have not made that decision if I was more in tune with myself. Like if I understood why I was making the decisions I was making, I also would have been way better off. This is the reason why I created the mindful major. This stuff is not talked about enough, and this is why we have so many people regretting their life decisions when they're like 30 or 40, and that's not old, but that's a long time of like not knowing what you want to do. A lot of people don't figure out exactly what they want to do until they hit their 30s or 40s, right? If we ask better questions early on, I almost can guarantee that we would all be better off as adults in life. So to sum all of this up, I am not here to tell you what to do, okay? The mindful major is not for that. What the mindful major is to help you think through the decisions so you can make better decisions overall. If you subscribe, you'll be getting those resources all the time. So like, you should subscribe. Yeah. So summing it all up, because I know we're losing light here. If everyone around you is asking you, oh, like, where are you going to go to college? And everyone's excited, whatever. I don't care about that. I want you to ask yourself, what life am I actually trying to build? Get to the bottom of that question. Think through it. Take some time to reflect. You don't have to know exactly where you're going at 17 or 18. But what matters is those intentional steps forward that you take. Find yourself. Find what makes you happy. Find your passions. It will naturally come to you after repetition. And if you need a little bit more help figuring that out, I do have 2 resources for you. One is free. It's called the Mindful Major Playbook. It's 50 questions that I wish someone would have asked me before making all of these college, career, life decisions that I'm going through right now. And then I also have a paid resource that is actually on sale right now. The Mindful Major Decision Framework. It basically walks you through step by step how to make a more intentional decision, right? So like if you're still a little cloudy after this video, or maybe you just want some more help, some more guidance, the Mindful Decision Framework is definitely probably going to be for you. And before you go, if you're trying to decide whether you should go to college right now, definitely let me know what you feel like is making the decision difficult. This is definitely going to help me figure out what videos I need to make to help you guys. So literally anything that you can think of, even if it's not about that, whatever you're having a hard time right now on deciding, let me know in the comments. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you have watched my other videos, this video was definitely a little more chatty. I'm just experimenting with like different, personalities, if I should be like robotic or if I should just be, more cool and laid back like this video. So give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me all that, because that definitely helps out the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.